so I do not have to work the holidays, and now a new mom has to work in my place. Am I the a-hole? I am an ICU nurse, and for the last 6 years, I have worked every Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas, and New Year's. It was no big deal to work all these holidays because I do not have an immediate family, widowed 5 years ago, and no children due to infertility issues. My parents and siblings have jobs in retail and public safety, which require them to work the holidays as well, so we traditionally celebrate the holidays several days after the actual holiday. This year, my parents retired and wanted to take a family trip to Europe because we have many relatives there, and they wanted to go to the European Christmas markets. In July of this year, I requested the week of Christmas off, and it was approved. My brother and sister, as well as their spouses, also got the time off from their jobs since it was requested so early. We are heading to Europe for Christmas. Fast forward to the last week of October, my boss calls me into the office to tell me that she has to take away my Christmas vacation because a coworker had a baby a few months ago and she needs the time off to celebrate the baby's first Christmas. The same coworker had a baby last year and had this baby 10 months after the other one. The coworker did not work any holidays last year and is not scheduled to work any this year. I made my boss aware of this point. I argued that my vacation request was approved back in July, and I made plans based on that request being approved. Also, I had worked the last 6 Christmas holidays and would be working Thanksgiving and New Year's. She stated that the priority for holiday vacations was given to those who had families. I informed her that just because I am widowed and do not have children does not mean I do not have a family. She backpedaled and stated that people with children were given priority so they could spend Christmas with them. Again, I reminded her that my vacation was approved back in July and that I would not cancel my trip so someone who did not request vacation time in a timely manner could have the time off just because she had a baby. Needless to say, my boss did not change her mind. She put me on the schedule for Christmas and took my coworker off. I took the issue to HR, and they simply said the manager is the one who determines the schedule and no work rules were broken. Well, her plan backfired, as I turned in my notice and my last day will be the day before Thanksgiving. Since I quit, my coworker now has to work Thanksgiving and Christmas. My other coworkers are saying I am a jerk for not just sucking it up and working Christmas and letting my other coworker have Christmas with her baby. Normally, I do work all the holidays so people can have time with their families. I have for the past 6 years. The one time I want to do something special with my family, I am the villain? I do not feel I am the a-hole here since I requested the time off and made plans accordingly. I will greatly miss my job, as I loved the hospital where I worked and the unit I was in. However, it is time for reflection and to put myself first, something I have not done since my husband passed. Since nursing jobs are plentiful, I plan on taking the entire month of December off and looking for a new job in the new year. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your time isn't less valuable simply because you don't have children. Also, the new baby isn't gonna remember Christmas anyway. If it was that serious, she would have requested a time off responsibly the way you did. She had at least 8 months to realize that this would be the baby's first Christmas. She could have put in her request before yours, but she just expected people to give away their time for her. Not the a-hole. Babies that age don't know what Christmas is. They wouldn't know the difference if the new mom celebrated the day before or after. Not the a-hole. If you are in the United States, please consult with an employment lawyer. Your manager is not permitted to discriminate based on family choice. Get a strongly worded demand letter and get your money, honey. Exactly. I've heard of coworkers themselves pressuring child-free people to work holidays, but not the company favoring employees with small children. The company I last worked for required 50% on any given holiday or vacation time. You had to work it out with the people in your lab. Luckily, the guy I was working with liked different holidays than me. I would take the entire Thanksgiving week and only burn 3 days PTO, while he liked Christmas to New Year. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking everything back after getting fired? Maybe I'm being petty, but you all can tell me what you think. I'd been working in my office for about a year, doing my job well, staying late when needed, and handling pretty much everything without complaint. Then, last Thursday, out of nowhere, I was told I was being fired. No reason, no explanation, just, "You're done this week or next week, I don't know, but you still have to finish everything." My supervisor said it so casually and then just walked off, leaving me standing there in shock. I tried to keep my composure because I still had tasks to finish, including organizing the upcoming Halloween event and wrapping up paperwork. It was humiliating, honestly. I've always been professional, so I kept going. Here's the kicker. I actually liked the woman who was hired to replace me, at least before I knew she was taking my job. I felt weird, angry, and disappointed, but I was trying to stay positive until she asked me why a certain binder was in my car. I told her I'd built that binder myself, using my own materials to stay organized for events. It didn't have any company documents, templates, and ideas. She looked at me and said, "That's not the right answer." That was the final straw. I said okay, walked away, and a few hours later, I came back and packed up everything I had personally bought, built, or created for that office. Decorations, supplies, planning tools, everything. For 6 months, I'd practically been running the office alone, so most of what was there was mine anyway. Now she's pissed because I took everything back, and she has nothing left to make her job easier. But honestly, why should I leave my hard work and personal property behind for a company that fired me without explanation and still expected me to clean up their mess? Am I the a-hole for taking back everything I paid for and leaving them to fend for themselves? Personally, I wouldn't have worked the event. If you gave your 2 weeks, sure, but being fired and then expected to work? F off, haha. You did the right thing, and now they're set back, which is awesome. This, when she said she was fired but they still had expectations of her, right answer is simple. No. You fired me. Figure it out yourself. I went to pick my little sister up from her first job one night. I see through the window that she's mopping the floor while bawling her eyes out. I get out of the car and bang on the door till she opens it. "Why are you crying uncontrollably?" Between sobs, she said, "I was fired." "Then why the heck are you mopping the floor?" I grabbed the mop from her, looked her boss dead in his eyes. He had come to the front of the Carvel by then and kicked the bucket all over the floor. "F that, we are leaving." I told her that if she ever gets fired again, to just leave. There is nothing keeping you there. You still have to finish everything. No, I certainly do not have to. Been there, done that. Many moons ago, I was in a similar situation with a total a-hole manager. To the point, when he found out that I was quitting, he started laying down the law as he saw it. My response was that he was so useless that he couldn't organize an activity in a brothel. End of conversation. Since I had already given notice, he could hardly fire me. I really enjoyed my last 2 days working with him. OP is not the a-hole. One of my first real jobs was in the early 2000s. Ugh, that is sad to write. They, boss and colleagues, watched from the door as a car T-boned me while I was pulling up to the store. Clearly, I was unable to work as I was being rushed to the hospital. The next day, my boss was pissed because I didn't show up for 2 shifts in a row. In the hospital, so WTF. Anyway, I'm back to work a few days later. As I'm about to head out to the floor, my boss tells me, "OOP, after tonight, you're fired. You're the only cashier for tonight, so finish your shift and you are done." I literally walked back, threw my headset on the ground, and told him to go F himself and figure it out on his own. The freaking nerve of that prick. It's been nearly 20 years, yet it still pisses me off when I think about it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my coworker their office back now that work from home has been canceled? Back in 2023, a woman, Jen, in my building left for maternity leave. After having her child, Jen took advantage of our company's work from home program, which left her office open. I placed in a request for the space with my manager and was given the go-ahead. So I got to leave my crappy cubicle for my very own private office. My employer has announced that work from home will end on November 17. All employees are to be back in the office by that date. Yeah, that sucks, I know. Yesterday, work from home employees came in for tours and desk assignments. When Jen saw I was in her office, she became agitated and asked if I'd be leaving so she could take it back over. I told her flatly that I had no intent to give up the office. Jen spoke with a manager about this, and management's immediate decision was that I was under no obligation to move out of the office. I was approached and asked if I had any interest in returning to a cubicle. I said no, and there was no follow-up from my manager or HR, as they both see the matter as closed. Now, just a day later, I'm getting stink from coworkers who think I'm punishing Jen for something outside her control. Jen has also emailed me, asking me to consider the position she's in, and that she's already being punished by the company by being compelled to return to the building, and asking me to consider her feelings. Sincerely, I definitely understand how much this sucks for her and everyone else being forced to come back, but I like having my own office. I have a lot of stuff in here that I'd otherwise have to carry back home. I'd be giving up the privacy that I've become accustomed to, and if I'm being honest, I enjoy actually having a nice window to look out of, and none of the noise of the cubicles. Am I the a-hole on this one? Is there a reason Jen had the office? High position that required privacy for calls or meetings, etc.? If there is no work reason for her to have the office, and HR/your boss aren't telling you that you have to move, just stand your ground. My company is weird. We have 15 non-managerial offices. When one becomes available, you may bid on one, and whoever has the most seniority and best performance metrics wins the office. Generally, 1 or 2 offices become available every year, either because of a promotions or turnover. So Jen and I are no different than anyone else in the cubicles. When it became available, I got it because I asked and had the seniority and metrics to win over anyone else who'd placed a request. You followed the rules and worked hard. They're trying to subvert the rules and take something from you. Not the a-hole. Maybe Jen should consider your feelings, as you've been working from the office for years. For her to demand her office back after she moved out of it is really entitled. Call her out to her face, and don't tolerate her trying to act like you're the bad guy. Stick to facts and keep emotions out of it. Good luck. If she was returning from maternity leave, Jen would have a fair argument about returning to that particular room, but she decided to work from home after her mat leave ended, which freed up the office. OP needs to raise this to HR, citing Jen making the office a hostile work environment because OP isn't giving Jen the office space. Yeah, I agree with that totally. Jen is causing a lot of issues for OP about this. Her coworker saying that losing the office was out of her control is false. She could have come back after her maternity leave, but she didn't. She forfeited the office when she decided to work from home. Jen needs to realize that and move on. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to run all the office morale stuff after HR put my name on a sign-up sheet without asking? I was hired as a data analyst last fall at a small tech company, Hybrid. My plate is full. Q2 dashboards, a messy migration, late-night pager once a week. Last month, HR rolled out a culture initiative, basically a spreadsheet of duties like birthday cupcakes, snack restock, welcome baskets, planning surprise parties, taking notes during meetings so managers can be more present, all that soft glue. I didn't sign up. I was in a client call. The next day, I got a ping. Congrats. You are lead for Q1 morale. Please pick a co-lead. My name was already typed in bold. Apparently, someone said I have good vibes because I bring muffins sometimes. Those muffins are from Costco and were for my team because we shipped a rough sprint, not a personality. I replied, thanks but no, I was not asked and this is not my job class. HR wrote back, it is everyone's job to build community and we need women to lead because we listen better. That made my skin crawl. I said again, I will join events. I will not plan them. My manager said we should be team players, but also admitted my objectives are behind and he needs me on the migration. Meanwhile, people started forwarding me requests, like a dev asked if I can stock energy drinks with 0 sugar, and a director told me to schedule a baby shower at 3 p.m. on sprint review day. I stopped answering, and HR created a group chat called Morale with me as owner. I left the chat. Yesterday, HR pulled me into a video call with a slide deck about how culture work is undervalued, which I agree with, but that means you pay people or adjust load, not secretly assign women. I said if they want an actual coordinator role, post it. I'll even help write the request, but I am not free labor because I smile and print stickers straight. Now I'm getting side eyes, and someone said I killed the vibe, which is wild because our vibe lately is 3 outages and lukewarm pizza. My manager told me to write it up for HR formally, so I did, including the gendered comment. HR is disappointed and says they will reevaluate the process, but a few coworkers think I made drama for nothing. Gross how they try to force crap on you. I worked at one of those companies where they like to placate their employees with pizza days and cupcake days and the like. For about 8 years straight, every one of my bosses, about 10 in that period, asked me to lead them because I was the most engaging manager of the 10 total who were in the building. They all got the same answer. My personality is not a work prop. I've got plenty on my plate and have zero interest in propping up people's little egos with candies. We come here to work and are paid to work. If someone wants to come here for some engagement activity, they may want to reconsider their employment. If this is dependent on me, then there is less than zero chance it will ever get off the ground. Some of them actually tried to have a discussion about it. I told them, how many times have you seen me involved when I'm on the receiving end of this whole shindig? That's when they realized I am never around for those things. The good ones pleaded for a while, then dropped it. Some tried to threaten my yearly reviews. I laughed. They all lost. My colleagues all knew not to volunteer me. HR was wise enough to never bring it up. In OP's place, I would make that office hell for everyone, and get away with it too. Nobody should be forced to participate in people's feel-good factors. Not the a-hole. Remind them that selecting you on the basis of your gender for this task is gender discrimination. Gender discrimination is not going to improve the culture at your workplace. Culture needs to be led from the top. It's insane that someone from Human Resources actually admitted selecting OP for her gender in an email. I mean, the fact that they chose her for her gender is not surprising, but HR people typically know better than to put it in writing. If anyone criticizes you for refusing to do the extra unpaid role, just email HR and let them know that whilst you have not volunteered, these people have made it clear that they are happy to do all this extra work for free. See what happens then. Not the a-hole. And I am really sorry that you are basically being assigned extra work due to your gender. Save all emails and texts in a separate non-work email just in case.